Hey, so good evening, guys. My name is Maurya Hanspal, and in this session, we're gonna talk about commodity markets. Okay, so we have been keeping our previous sessions on stock market. A large number of sessions are available on the topics of stock market, and we also try to keep sessions on forex market, and we try to understand the different things in forex market as well. Okay, so this session is again an exclusive session where we would be talking about the commodities market. Okay. So commodities market again, as I told you, that the largest market all over the globe is the forex market or the currency market. And that market is into quadrillions. That is more than a trillion. And a quadrillion has 1000 trillions. Then in trillions, you have the stock market. And somewhere in between, like between the stock market and the currency market, you have the commodity market. Okay. And the percentage of the commodity market is far low. Okay. And that is the third one. The first is the forex market, the second is the equity market, and the third is the commodity market. Okay. In the equity market, the shares are being traded. In the forex market, the currencies are being traded. In the commodity market, commodities are being traded. And by traded, I mean buying and selling of the commodities is done. And commodities, I mean your gold, silver, copper, aluminium, zinc, and various other alloys, as well as you have your precious metals and also like wheat, your coffee, your chana, your soybean, your crude oil, your like natural gas. All these things are traded as a commodity. And they are traded like we have certain exchanges on which these commodities are traded. Like for example, you have the multi commodity exchange or the MCX, as we call it as the MCX. You have the multi commodity exchange. You have the NCDX, the National Commodity and Derivatives Exchange. As we have derivatives in case of what? As we have derivatives in case of an equity market and shares market, we also have derivatives in case of commodities. And again, the prices of the commodities are being traded on the stock exchange. Okay, this thing that you should know. Okay, that is the basic thing of the commodities that you should be aware about. That what are the commodities and how are the commodities different from the equity market and your currency market. Okay, so when we talk about commodity, let's try to divide our commodity discussion. When we talk about commodities, commodities have been divided into two parts. One is your agri commodities and one is your non-agri commodities. One is your agri commodities and the other is the non-agri commodities. In agri commodities, you have like everything, like which are related to agriculture. Your chana, your wheat, your paddy, your cotton, your soybean, moong, moong ki dal, not like chane ki dal, like all that wheat. All these are commodities, and these commodities are literally being traded on the commodities exchange. Okay, and when you talk about the non-agri commodities, these are further like divided into three parts. One are your base metals. मतलब agriculture से link नहीं है. These are not related to agriculture. Base metals में क्या बोलता है? For example, मैं लिख देता हूँ कॉपर हो गया, एल्यूमिनियम हो गया, जिंक हो गया, कोबाल्ट हो गया, निकल हो गया. Then you have your energies. Second is energy. यहाँ पे तुम्हारा क्या क्या देखो, coal is an energy, oil, natural gas, and the third one is your precious metals. And these markets are not over the counter. Okay, these are traded on the commodities exchange. And then you have the precious metals. In precious metals, you have silver, you have gold, you have platinum, और इसका आगे लोग सोचते ही नहीं है. You have palladium. So ये तीन ही सिर्फ like मतलब ये precious metals नहीं है. Okay, those people who are engaged into buying jewelry and all, they'll just consider silver, gold, and platinum. Those have idea about the commodity market, they also know about like palladium. Okay, so that is one thing. So when you talk about the agri commodities, in agri commodities you have all that commodities which are taken up from the agriculture. You have chana, you have wheat, you have paddy, you have cotton, soybean, moong, and many others. When you talk about the non-agri commodities, again, the non-agri commodities are divided into three parts. One is the base metal, one are the energies, and the second is the precious metal. In base metals, we can have copper, aluminium, zinc, cobalt, nickel, and various others. In the energy one, because these things are used to generate energy, you have coal, you have oil, and natural gas. In case of precious metal, these are those like which are used in jewelry or some precious items, silver, gold, platinum, and palladium. And there can be some others as well. Okay, so these are the list of the few one. In precious metals, we have just four. In the energy segment, also we have just three: the coal, oil, and like natural gas. In base metals, I gave you just an example of few, and you people can have of many. Similar in case of agri commodities, you people can have example of many. Even we have like coffee here, jowar here. Okay, so all these things can be traded. And these things are literally traded and इनके price determine होते हैं. If you people have attended my previous sessions on stock market, I've clearly told you that how to predict like some of the companies who use these commodities as their raw material. How to predict the performance of those companies, right? Like for example, Tata Steel. Okay, the raw material for Tata Steel is what? The raw material for Tata Steel is your metals, copper, aluminium, zinc, cobalt, and nickel. If the prices of the commodities are rising, obviously now Tata Steel will have to pay like more amount to buy these commodities. And if Tata Steel is making like more purchases in this higher amount, obviously the price at which Tata Steel would be providing their services would increase. And obviously Tata Steel would be a company from which people would be like demanding the construction activities or steel activities. Because again, the capital expenditure as per the budgets and as per the Indian economy is on a boom. So if you think that the commodities pricing are rising, start investing into the shares of those companies. Similarly, aluminium का भी raw material होता है. Like for example, if you want to have the raw material for aluminium, like you have bauxite, that you have to see that how is the bauxite going in the market. So bauxite is not a metal, it's a compound basically. Okay, but bauxite के बारे में जानने की कोशिश करो. Similarly, like when you are making cement, in cement like you use the coking coal. तो अगर coal के prices बढ़ रहे हैं, then cement के भी बढ़ेंगे prices. All the industries who are like manufacturing oil or doing extraction of the oil, these companies have to benefit because there are like two types of companies. One is the oil manufacturing companies or the oil extraction companies, and the other are the oil using companies. Your ONGC, your GAIL, your Indian Oil Corporation, IOC. All these are extraction companies. And once the prices of oil rises in the global market, the users of the oil, for example, your IGL, the Indraprasth Gas Limited, or MGL, your Mahanagar Gas Limited, these are not the extractors of gas. These are the users of gas. So when these companies would be purchasing gas from your GAIL, your ONGC, or IOC, like they have to pay a higher price. So it would be a pressure or a kind of loss for these companies who are the users of cash, users of oil. But the oil extraction companies like will have the benefit. Similarly, those companies like which are using silver, gold, platinum as their raw material. And if the prices of these rises, it would benefit. And gold, obviously we know it's a hedge against inflation, right? Similarly, if the price of these things rises, or chana, wheat, paddy, cotton, soybean, okay, the prices of the shirts would rise in case of cotton because cotton is being used. Soybean is used for oil. Again, your wheat, paddies, and all these stuffs are used as the raw material for the FMCG companies, the fast-moving consumer goods. Again, if the prices rises, these companies have to procure at a very high price, and we have no choice like to buy from these like we have to buy from these companies. So in short term, these companies might also have some margin pressures because of the high input cost, and these companies are facing. Like for example, in case of HUL, ITC, Nestle, and Britannia, they recently reported their numbers, and in their numbers they had the profitability, but the profitability had contracted. Why? Because of the margin pressure. Okay, their revenues and sales were good, but expenses were high. And in expenses, they had the cost of procurement of these raw materials ultimately, right? So this was one thing that you should know. Talking about the paint industry, your Pidilite, your Asian Paints, your Berger Cement, Indigo Paints, all these paints, they require oil as a raw material because oiling is done and oil is mixed with paints, right? And if the price of oil rises, the price of paints would also rise, right? So अगर oil का price बढ़ रहा है तो people start buying the paint industries, they start buying the oil manufacturing companies and selling the oil using companies. Not all people who have knowledge about the stock market. Okay, so these things like you must understand like when we talk about these metals. Okay, so that was all for today about the commodities market, and I'll see you in the next session.